Hey y'all, and welcome to Trials to Triumphs. I'm Ashley Blaine Featherson-Jenkins, but you can call me ABFJ. This week, actress, comedian, and social justice advocate Amanda Seales talks to me about the cost of speaking the truth. We live in a world where we say we value honesty, but in truth, we often find it tough to swallow. I've always respected Amanda's ability to speak the truth, especially when that authenticity is uncomfortable and comes at a cost.
I think people always ask, has your honesty kept you from getting certain roles or, kind of attaining a certain level of fame? But when I was honest with myself, I realized you don't want that anyway. I don't want that. I don't want to be a superstar. I am a star. My personality is very hello, I'm here, But I don't aspire for everyone to know, did you know Amanda's here? That. A different thing.
Hi, Amanda. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, man. Amanda, listen. Let me tell you something.
That pitch, Amanda. I'm like, where we going, child? Where we going?
No, it's good. Let me tell you something. I really value people that are authentic and who teach me something. I really love when I'm in the presence of somebody and I leave and I'm like, ooh, I didn't know that. Or they told me this. Or can you believe this is happening? And you are just one of those people who it's just in your DNA. You can't help yourself. You are just one of the most authentic and informative people I know. And the older I get, the more I realize not only how rare people like yourself are, but also how important you are. Yeah. But I think it's really important to let people know, one, that they matter, that they are, appreciated, but also that I feel like I'm a smarter, better human being. Anytime I'm in your presence, looking at a video, hearing you on a podcast, seeing you on a show. So I just want to honor you and say thank you.
Aw, man. I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you. That means a lot. We owe heads now. So
yeah. And the other thing I want to add, Amanda, too, and we'll get into it more, but there's a cost to that. When you are that person, when God blesses you with those gifts, there's a cost. And so I want to thank you because I know it costs you something to give us so much. But I see you, sis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. That's not been my experience in the past. So, as it's interesting to get older and it start being more of a norm, but you're just like, ooh, child, that was a road.
Yeah, it's a road. We gonna get into it though, but let's start. First, tell everybody, if you can, how and when we met, if you remember.
I just told this story the other day.
Did you really? About me specifically?
Because we met in a very unique way. Do you remember how we met?
I feel like you've always been a part of my life.
Okay. This is a good story. Wait, I'm about to blow your mind.
Okay.
So you were on a web series called Cupid's
Hello Cupid.
Hello Cupid. And I was watching Hello Cupid and I was tweeting as I watched. And I said something like, I don't understand why these women da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And Matthew Cherry added you and Haley Marie Norman and was well, you should ask them directly. And I felt some type of way because y'all were characters. I was talking about y'all as characters and he atted y'all on Twitter as if I was talking about y'all as women. And if you replied and were like, hey sis, would love to talk about it. Like, would love to give more insight. Da, 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 da. Haley was like, I'm gonna be in New York tonight if you're trying to pull up. So I literally ended up meeting Haley that night. I met Haley that night in person in New York. We've been friends since. And you and I remember we just like had a cordial exchange of like texting. And then when I came to LA, we had lunch.
Wow. Yes. Amanda, that was in like 2013.
That was 2015. That was
it was 2015. No, it was before that.
It was before that because this happened before I moved. So yeah,
so maybe 2014.
Mm-hmm,
wow, almost 10 years ago. Wow, I forgot about that Twitter drama. Wow. You're right. I literally was like, why is this a thing? I love that she's even watching. I love that anybody has an opinion about anything at all. Tell me more, darling.
Listen, I was like, Matthew, you have these people like not even, and also I didn't even know Matthew. Like it was like somebody, I follow. Shout out to Matthew Cherry. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm moving to LA and these people are already going to hate me before I even get there. Great.
And look, it was the opposite. You're friends with us both. Look at that. I love that.
Yes.
Okay, let's start at the beginning, Amanda. So you were born in LA, Inglewood, but then you moved to Orlando when you were young, right? Or Florida?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah, Orlando. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want to know, what would you say Inglewood and Orlando gave you? What did they give you, Amanda?
So even though I was born in Inglewood, we ended up moving to the Valley because my mom got robbed.
I did not expect that.
While I was in like while I was a baby in a crib, like the house got burglarized. So she was like, we're out of here. So we went to the Valley and lived behind a car wash in a little, apartment condo situation.
Where in the Valley?
I went to Lassen Elementary School, so Granada Hills, like by Northridge, like right by Northridge.
Yeah.
I lived across the street from a Taco Bell, which shapes the reason why, you know what? I'm gonna have some Taco Bell today. Now that I said that, I'm gonna have some Taco Bell today. Like to this day, like sometimes this is really good for my soul. And so I grew up there until I was 8, and then I moved to Orlando. And what's interesting about that is I don't even think I knew in real time what it gave me. And it's also one of those things where I think it just kind of it was like happening to me as a kid. And until I was an adult, I couldn't even understand it until someone said it back to me. I got to have lunch with my first grade teacher. Like we reconnected like a couple years ago, and she was like, I have a bone to pick with you. I'm like, why do you have a bone to pick? Why would Miss Channel have a bone to pick with me? And she was like, because you said in your HBO comedy special that you learned the Negro National Anthem in 10th grade, but I had you singing that in first grade. And I was like,
and this teacher is Black, I'm assuming.
Very much so, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I was like, or not even, that would have been cool if she wasn't Black, but I love that she was Black. Okay.
No, she was. And I just was blown because, so that's one of those things though, where like, I don't have the memory of that in my mind, but that's in my body.
Got it. Yep.
Like that's in my body that I had a Black teacher. And then there was another teacher, Ms. LaBowman, and both of them, she told me, we saw you. She told me, we saw you and we made it our business to protect you. Because brilliant Black children are oftentimes not protected and in that space. And so, that was something that I feel like I got, that I went to Florida with. In Florida, I would say, what did I get? I mean, I got so much. I got a childhood. I got to have an actual childhood. I really got to ride my bike feeling safe. I got to, jump rope. Like I felt safe as a kid. And I know that is a cornerstone of why, for me personally, of why I feel like I have a fearlessness as an adult. That may translate different for other people, but for me, I know that I feel like my fearlessness is in the fact that like I did not grow up fearing for my life. I didn't grow up fearing failure. I mean, I am a perfectionist, but that's for like a whole other reason. But like, I was allowed to like try things and not be expected to be perfect at them. You know, so like that is, as an artist, like that's key. Like the freedom to fail is imperative as an artist.
Yes.
And I just got also the opportunity to have like a very Caribbean household, but a very Black American lifestyle.
Well, that leads me to Grenada. What would you say that Grenada has given you?
You know, there's something really, there's something really, I don't even necessarily have words for it. There's something kind of unspoken about just having a home that I know as someone who has like the duality of being a Black American, that gives you a rootedness that this country has never been able to give Black American people in the real way.
Yes. Yes.
I have dual citizenship. Like I can be out, you know?
Wow.
And of course, like they'll still call me Yankee, but I'll be over there. You know what I'm saying?
So what's up? Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So just having that space of a whole other home, you know, a whole other home has been such a rich and robust, like, part of my identity and culture in a real way. And also just Grenadians in general are very political and like, we're very funny, like culturally. So like, that's me.
Yeah. One of my dearest friends in the entire world, Aisha Hines, she's also her family's from Grenada as well. And she blessed us by taking us back there for her wedding. And
yes, I did see those pictures.
Yes.
Yeah, I was on Grand Anse Beach.
Yes. And I felt so grateful that she shared that with us, because as a Black American who doesn't have a Grenada to go back to in that regard, like
I know exactly what you mean.
That, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt it was amazing to me that she has this, that she has, she has family history in this other beautiful, wonderful country, and her people are still there. And it just was great. And again, I'm just so happy that she shared it with us, because I felt that it was very emotional for me too. And it sounds like you're saying the exact same thing. So I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, I'm beefing with Grenada right now, but that's a whole other podcast.
Oh no. Okay. Well, I hope y'all work it out.
I'm with my new love, Belize, and so we have a courtship.
When did you guys get together?
Me and Belize got together in 2020, right before the pandemic. I was literally in Belize when this fool was like, "We're about to close the country," and my mom was like, "Please come back immediately." But I went to Belize. I had a nervous breakdown in 2020, and I don't know. Like on the other side of it, I just was like, I need to go to Belize, and I've never been before. And my assistant at the time, I was like, please figure this out. And she just found two like hotels. I'm not really like a resorty kind of gal. Like I like things that are a bit more, I don't know, boutique is the word, but a bit more naturey. And so she found these two places, and I went there. And I'll never forget this, because Lauren London said this. She was like, "You took your problems to the water." And I was like, yes, I did.
Like her.
I'm a Cancer. That's what I mean. Like I always have to say her name, because it's like, that's something that Lauren would say. And just the Cancer in me is very, very much, it's water every day, all day.
Yes.
Like, we need it. So, yeah. And now I've gone 4 times, and I'm just obsessed.
I've heard great things about it. So I gotta go. I gotta visit. But Grenada it took my heart. I thought it was just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place.
Yeah,
and I can't wait to go back. Yes. Who would you say was your rock growing up?
Oh, my mom. I mean, she's,
I thought you would say her, but I want to know, like, why? What is it about her that has really, really held you down? Or do you have a moment that you remember, like, you realized your mom was the realest one on your team? Like, oh, you really, yeah.
I think that well, first of all, it was just me and my mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and my family are not reliable. Like they might support you in this instance, and then they might not. Like there just wasn't ever, to me, a shared responsibility or obligation to each other. So, but my mom and I had that. And I mean, I would say my mom just was always very down for whatever I envisioned was a thing that, like, my mom never made something that mattered to me not matter.
Ooh.
And I think that's really important. Because I can't think, as a kid, as an adult, we had our stuff. But as a kid, like if I was like, yeah, I'm really into hieroglyphics right now, then we into hieroglyphics right now. Like,
Love that.
like, and it's not even like we had guap like that. Like my mom was working 2 jobs. Like my mom worked, at a nursing home. She would work double shifts, like this is not, it's not like there was any silver spoon, but it was like she had just decided that it was going to be me and she was going to just pour into me. And so I never had the dismissal in that way. I feel like my feelings were dismissed. Like my mom was not a really emotionally mature person, but I feel like that entire generation, by the way, is just bereft of that. Which is why so many of us are in therapy and also being like, you got to go to therapy too.
And our poor parents are like, what?
No, my mom, I put my foot down and was like, you will not get to talk to me unless you go to therapy. And that's where, and there was 2 rounds. We had to do 2 rounds of that. But right here, as we're recording this podcast, she is in therapy. And
is she liking it? Does she see it yet? Does she see like the...
So here's the thing. The first round, she saw it immediately. Immediately. Like literally would be like, okay, so can you give me an example like of when like you feel like I wasn't emotionally there? And I'm like, what era? We elementary, middle, or high school or adult? Like which one, because I can give you all of them. And I remember her being like, how do you have such a good memory? I said, because for you, they're memories. For me, they're scars. So
taking me out.
So I still got them, honey. Like you have a whole other life that you lived before I even existed. You are my whole life. Like,
wow. Oh my God. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Our whole lives, our parents have been in
You're my whole life.
We've only been a part of it.
I'm a portion.
This is what I'm talking about. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, this is a perfect example.
Yeah, like
that's
I'm a
taking
phase.
me out.
I'm a phase of my mom's life. My mom didn't have me till she was 34. My mom had a whole existence. My mom had a whole marriage before I existed. So, we're just like a phase of their thing. Whereas like I do not know life without my mother.
Wow, that's crazy. I never thought about that, but that says so much about the child parent.
Yes. They'll say things like, why do you take everything I say so much? Like, ma'am, you are you are my whole GPS map. Like you, sis.
You're all, I came from you. You brought me here. Like, what?
We were literally, I was in your body. Like,
wow. That's
I made
real.
of you. Even if I wasn't in your body, I made of you, right? And then if it's not even that, it's just like you were here. Because, we have so many different types of parents right now, right? So it's not even just biological, but it's like my framing of the world was designated and created by you. Even at times when you weren't doing it intentionally. Like me just witnessing you interact with somebody is framing my world. And then you're shaping me. And then you get to an age where you're like, all right, now I got to shape myself. And that's arduous because clay hardens over time. Honey, clay hardens over time. So maybe I go to the water because it softens me and it makes me more moldable.
Yes. Amanda, did that just hit you right now?
It hit me right now. Son.
Wow, you're really going there today. Wow. That actually makes complete sense. You're clay. Ooh, wow. Yeah, just got to dip your fingers in the water and it's not the...
Yeah. I mean, if you think of us as God's creatures, he's molding us. But ultimately, I think I just know that my mom, even in her trauma, even in her shortcomings, I know that she is rooting for me. And even sometimes when she's in the way.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you're just like, ma'am, you are in the way right now. You can't even let yourself enjoy this because of your own stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to excise you from this situation, but I know that you love me. I know you do. But yeah, so my mom has been, I mean, I think what I would say the first time though is when I was 3 and I was at the Ann Williams after school. No, it was like a preschool, Ann Williams preschool. And my teacher said that we were stupid. And I told my mom, and she came up in that class and was like, I don't know who the hell you think you are, but I better not ever hear about you addressing any of these children as stupid. And you're just like,
I feel like 98.9% of Black folks got a story with their mama or their daddy coming into some school, having to tell some teacher. Mm-hmm. Like everybody has the story. Everybody. Yeah.
When I was in 3rd grade, I had just moved to Orlando and I had tested gifted in California. When we went to Florida, my mom, talked to the teacher and was like, okay, so, Amanda, we need to get her scheduled for the gifted test. And the teacher was like, oh, I mean, just because she was gifted in California doesn't mean she's gifted in Florida. And my mom was like, if she's gifted in California, she is absolutely gifted in this Florida. Mm-hmm. And every Caribbean parent, if they put this or that in front of something, that is the Caribbean version of Lil. Like your little friend. That friend? Mm.
Oh,
this friend of yours? Yeah, that's the Caribbean version of, I'm diminishing this without saying that I don't think that highly of it, but just know. You and this Marquise. Like that was, I heard that about my first boyfriend every day.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Do you remember the first time that you used your voice and spoke out about something and you realized that people listened?
Okay, well, this is not that necessarily that they listened in a good way, but this is an example.
Yeah. Okay.
In 10th grade, no, was it? It may have been senior year, actually. I was in an art class in school, and the teacher was doing a lesson on Aboriginal art. And she was like, the Aboriginals are a Stone Age people. And I raised my hand, and I was like, I mean, that's not accurate. Like, the Aboriginal people are alive and well in Australia right now.
Stone Age.
So are you saying that they were alive during the Stone Age? Like, what are you trying to say? And she was like, essentially, which, mind you, I gave her an out. But instead she doubled down on that, like, they're primitive. And I was like, I just think that is wholly inaccurate. And I don't think you should be speaking about the Aboriginal community in that way. And I have family in Australia, so I've always been I've just been informed of the Aboriginal community. We've always had Aboriginal art in our house. Some of my actual art style has like Aboriginal elements in it. And she called a meeting with the dean of students, the guidance counselor, and my mom. Now, mind you, I don't think she bargained for the fact that all of them was Black. Okay. So it's Mr. Little, Miss Thirsty, my mama, and this lady, Miss Schwank. And so we all in there, and here's the thing. My mom has always known that I am a fiercely honest person. My mother has never had mistrust for me. Like when I was growing up, like that was never an issue. Like I know that a lot of people, kids be lying and stuff. That ain't never been my jam. So I didn't have to deal with that. And my mom said that the lady called her and was like, I want to talk to you and set a meeting because I have some complaints about your daughter. And my mom was like, oh, funny. I have heard my daughter have complaints about you.
I'm obsessed with her. I love your mom.
So, we all sit up there in this meeting and she was like, I remember the dean starting the conversation and he was like, we were all here. What's the issue? Is Amanda talking in class? She said, no, Amanda she does her work. He said, okay. Is she turning in her work late? She said, no, she actually has a piece being exhibited, at the library. So he's like, what are we here for? She's like, well, Amanda corrects me in front of the students. And they were all like, is she right? And she was like, yes, but it is she basically was trying to say that I was undermining her authority by challenging her in front of the other classmates.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all like, I mean, you want students that are learning and paying attention. So this is the byproduct of that. If you don't want students to pay attention, then you're going to get a different outcome. But if someone's paying attention and they have been paying attention in their other classes too, then there's going to be some cross-pollination. But that's a situation where I feel like I spoke up and I challenged and it ended up going in another direction, but I was heard because everybody else except for her, she heard me. She heard me enough to call all these Black people in a room together.
Yeah.
And of course, my mom is like, so I left work for this.
Oh my goodness. So, well, that makes a lot of sense, right? Because you're saying honesty has always been your thing. And I think we live in a world where we kind of fake like we value honesty. Like it's a thing that I almost, right? It's a thing we feel like we think we should say, like, just be honest with me. If you're honest with me, then I can deal with it, but I can't do anything with anything that's not the truth, right? It's like, we're cloaking ourselves in that, but what's really underneath is like, lie to me because I can't take the truth.
I can't take it.
I can't take it. And, I think sometimes when you aren't, honesty like wins the long race, but the short sprints, it's the people who are not keeping it a buck that are,
they're just lily padding, they're just hopping from to and fro.
Yeah.
I mean, being this kind of person is not easily digestible for the world. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not. Like, the world is not really set up for honesty. I mean, we're watching an entire country lie every single day right now about what they are doing to an entire people, right? And we're being told like, nah, it's not a lie. And then they will literally 2 days later be like, well, okay, so what I know we had said, but actually, and it's like, no, but you said it with your chest though. Like, you didn't just say it like there's a possibility. Like, you declare these things, you get people behind you declaring these things, and then you retract it to now have room to declare the next thing. We've seen that on this level. Then you see it just on like celebrity levels, with marketing, etc. And it's just a very duplicitous method of interacting with people. And I see it so much, and it just makes me be more like grinding my heels into like, no, I need to be 100% authentic. But again, if that's the society that is like around you, then that means that you're like rebelling just by existing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think there's also something to be said for it. I've had to do a lot of learning on how to deliver honesty in the most receptive ways. Right? Like, that's not always necessarily the easiest thing to do. I've had to learn how to, just receive honesty as well. Like, be able to.
Ooh, you can give it, but, really being able to receive. That's real. That's real.
So I think that's the other part of it, right? It's like, how useful is the honesty if it can't be received? And that, so that's a dance too. That's a dance. And you're not really necessarily even like taught how to do that. It really is kind of just, bumps and bruises in trying to find my way through that. But It's the only way I know how to live. I genuinely, and that's why when people suggest for even a moment that I'm lying about something, it is,
Yeah.
it really gets my goat.
Whoa. So that's what I wanted to ask you next. We talked earlier about the cost, right? And so I want to know, what would you say the cost has been? What is it? What has it been? What has it felt like? And I want to also add that for me, something that's really tough, it's a personal journey that I'm on, is being misunderstood. I like really, when I feel like I'm articulating myself really well and I'm coming from an honest, genuine place and I'm still just completely misunderstood, nothing stresses me out more. But I've learned I'm not in charge of others' comprehension. I can't. All I can do is the best that I can do. And if I'm still misunderstood, also, a lot of times people misunderstand you because they want to. It's a
committed
choice.
to that.
They've committed to it. They know what you're saying. They know it's real, but they're just deciding that they don't want to understand. So anyway, I just go back to wondering how you feel about that, but also, what has the cost been for you?
I mean, being misunderstood is really like, I'm the same. Like, that really just wears me out. And it used, I would say I'm better at it now, but it used to really trigger like low self-esteem.
Yes.
And just kind of like self-doubt. And I would beat myself up, just about that. I mean, to this day, like, if I can let that in, but it doesn't last as long, like I've gotten better at just like,
I think age and just time helps that for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I think age and like time. And then, you also just kind of like, you get people around you that are just better at affirming things. I mean, I have a friend that like, we have an ongoing, am I tripping situation. Like, I'll be like, okay, am I tripping? And like, it's an ongoing, like, I'll be like, am I tripping? Episode 922. This and this happened. Like, help me understand like where I may have gone wrong in this. But I think so the succinct answer to your question is, what have I lost in that? That's what you were asking?
Yeah. Well, what would you say is the cost has been of your honesty? Yes.
The cost of my honesty has been, in the moment, it felt like losing friends, but in reality, it was clearing house, right? Sometimes it's been peace, because you kick up dust, folks is gonna flail about, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's inner peace that I've pay the cost with, because you sometimes feel like you need to just say the thing. And now you're like, why did I say the thing? And, and so that's its own thing. I think ultimately people think that the cost I've paid has been like success on a certain level. Like, I think people always ask, like, has your honesty kept you from getting certain roles or, kind of attaining a certain level of fame? But when I was honest with myself, I realized you don't want that anyway. Oof. I don't want that. I don't want to be a superstar. I am a star. Like, my personality is very like, hello, I'm here, but I don't aspire for everyone to know, did you know Amanda's here? Like, that's a different thing.
It is. And when you're around it, you are like, oh, that life is wild. Like,
that's a different kind of thing.
That's why we used to have True Hollywood Story, because it goes down.
It's a thing. And I when I was finally like truly, truly honest with myself, it was like, that is not what you are in pursuit of. You are actually in pursuit of spaces where you can be as authentic and true to yourself as possible, and where you can have real conversations because I really enjoy talking and like just I really enjoy like philosophizing, like thinking things through and talking them out, and knowing that where I land on it today may not be where I land on it a week from now, after I've thought about it a bit more, et cetera. And in order to have those spaces, like, you just have to disconnect yourself from other things.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you actually quickly, when do you decide that you want to share things publicly? Or how do you decide that you are the person that's like, I would normally just talk to my homegirl or homeboy about the why am I tripping, but actually I'm sharing this to my Instagram page?
I feel like sometimes it really is just as basic as I'm bothered by something and I'm just not being fully thoughtful about the ramifications of sharing, right? Other times, I think other times it's just like, I feel like if I don't say something, then this will harm someone else. So
that's real.
I'm like, I need to say something. Cause if I don't, then, somebody else is going to feel this, and I don't want that to happen. Like, I don't want that on me. Like, I don't want to be complicit in this happening. So sometimes it's that. And then sometimes it's just like, maybe it's listen, I'm a comedian. So sometimes it's like, there's a joke coming here, like I feel like there's a joke that could come here. And so I need to share this because I know this is going to be funny. So sometimes it's that. There's different reasons, but I mean, ultimately it always comes from an authentic place. Like, it's never like I am trying to throw somebody under the bus. Like, it's not like sinister in that way, I mean, I'm also a human. So sometimes it's like, did y'all know this person was mean to me?
Yeah.
If I don't, let me see you out here faking like you nice.
You're calling it out.
I'm like, no, because you had said this. Like, cut out.
Yeah. What's bringing you joy lately? In the midst of so much, just like not
ice
joy.
cream,
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. Like, I'm not like a foodie, but there's just like certain things that like really, like Pocky really brings me joy.
Oh, you're a Pocky girl. Oh, is that the strawberry kind?
Yes, it is the crunchy strawberry. The ocean always brings me joy. I've been really fortunate to have moved closer to the ocean. I'm not like on the ocean, but I'm close enough to where I don't have to like make a day plan to go to the ocean.
It's not a hike. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I can fit it in. And, I think, it's like me just making that a part of my wellness, like to just go and sit even for an hour, just go and sit by the sea. Sometimes I don't even look up. Sometimes I'm looking at my phone. Sometimes I'm looking at a magazine, but I bring the dog and we just sit there, and just being in that space. I know that I'm very blessed to be able to do that. So I need to do that. What else? But what's bringing me joy? Also, just continuously like making my home my own. I was in here for 3 years with somebody, and I really made an effort to be very conscious of the fact that I was not here by myself, and that they have different interests, and that they have different preferences, and they have different likes. And so I was just constantly, I don't want to say compromise in a negative way, but like that was something I was willing to do in a partnership, right? Like I can compromise that. Like, and so getting to really just like box out and let my creative senses just fully expand into the space has been like really a joyful time.
Oh, good. I love that for you. Amanda, what has been your takeaway from our conversation today?
I would say the takeaway is that I did not know that you thought so highly of me. And as a peer and a colleague, I really appreciate that. I don't feel connected to like the entertainment space of like Black Hollywood, like as I once really desired to be. I won't say I've always, but I eventually just felt very ostracized from that space. Like I don't feel like I was welcomed into it. Am I getting emotional? I feel like tear. I'm a Cancer. That doesn't really mean much. Yeah, like I just never felt embraced by and I realized that it was less about me and more about what I had thought Black Hollywood was. And then you realize, because I am especially right now, I'm in a very intentional effort of realism.
I love it.
And I just kind of like had to like just let the disenchantment come through me and make my own space. And so when I hear that from someone who I know from that space, like it felt good.
I love that. And I mean,
you also do soothing. You like, that's like a thing that your child is going to appreciate. This.
Oh, yes. Okay, that's good.
It's like your version of a purr.
Oh, or like a
Yeah. Well, both
meditative.
Both are healing frequencies. Ohms and the cat's purr are healing frequencies. That's why they like bring cats into like nursing homes and like hospitals. Not just because like it's like, oh, a pet, an animal, but like their purr is a literal like healing frequency.
I received that. No one's ever told me that before. So I really received that. Amanda, my takeaway is it's kind of like what I said at the top. Like, I feel really grateful to have someone as incredible and generous as you in my orbit. You share so much of yourself with us, and there's so much to be gained. And I truly feel like it is such a, I'm kind of reframing, for instance, my relationship with social media. And knowing that I can go to social media and always see you there telling me the truth or informing me about something that might be hidden from me in another way. Yeah. It matters. And it especially matters today with everything we're going through as Black women and going to go through and with the country we live in. With it is, Amanda, you are doing God's work. And I just want you to know that I know that. And I'll be spreading the word. I just appreciate you. I've been a guest on your podcast. You're now a guest on mine. Yes. And I just, again, I love you. I honor you. And I'm really proud of you, Amanda. Don't stop. For anybody, keep going.
The feeling is all mutual. It is all mutual.
Thank you. I appreciate you, sis. Yay. We did it. We did it. Thank you for listening. This podcast is produced by LWC Studios for OWN. The show's executive producer is Juleka Lantigua. Our managing producer is Fatima El-Swifi. Shanice Tyndall is our lead producer. Jordan Thompson is our marketing coordinator. This episode was mixed by Trin Lightburn. Michelle Baker is our video editor. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, and we hope you did, please make sure to subscribe, leave a rating, and review wherever you listen to your podcast to ensure you hear the next one.